Hello, everyone. Welcome to Keep Six, Connect the Six. And today, again, we have a wonderful episode for you. We have Mr. Leon Boswell from Collins Bay Institution and one of our law student, Crystal, here. Today, we're going to dig deep into Mr. Boswell's encounter with the justice system for the last 25 years, his experience, the challenges, but also what goes on behind the wall. So let's get started. Mr. Boswell, thank you for joining us.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And how's things been, with you and so forth?
I'm okay.
That's good. Well, we had a wonderful conversation a few months back, and we had received a great deal of response from our community. Your input and your views was well seen and well received. So I figured, we didn't have enough time to expand the way we wanted to. So we're very happy to have the opportunity to, take the time to go through some stuff that we, didn't have the chance to dive into. Crystal, you left off. Maybe you can talk to Mr. Boswell and hear from where we left off.
Yes. So last time we spoke a couple months ago, we did discuss youth and creating a stronger community. So, from your perspective, if you could go back in time, what would you have done at 15, 16 to create a stronger community, maybe in terms of entrepreneurship or maybe being more involved in the community at all? What would you have done as a Black youth?
Well, maybe at 15, I wouldn't have been thinking of stuff I think about now, but if I had this mind now, then I guess I would work more towards like I said before, building after school programs, having workshops and seminars. One thing I think is important for the guys from our community is like learning life skills. So throughout my incarceration, we do programs. And through programs, we learned a lot about life skills, managing your emotions, having the ability to think through your thoughts without any bias from your emotions so you can have a more clear focus thinking and it's not just satisfying your self gratification. Usually we make decisions in a emotional state. It's never going to solve the issue you have at hand. In fact, it might add more problems to the problems you're trying to solve. So like the importance of having the ability to be calm, cool, and collected. Um, the importance of avoiding negative influences and how decisions are paramount to your life. Like the choices you make can determine your future,
Okay.
whether it be failure or success.
Whether it be failure or success. Okay. I can get that 100%. And how do you feel as though that would help youth, I guess, today in 2025, given the terms of everything going on around gun violence, gang violence? How
Okay,
could that help?
so through that workshop, we like use examples of the reality of our communities, the things that happen in a day-to-day basis, and like help the young kids with skills and tools that will lead them away from walking down the wrong path or making bad decisions or hanging with negative influences. Um, the consequences that come with living that type of lifestyle and how it affects families and communities at large.
And what would you say to families, I guess, trying to support kids that are maybe already dealing with maybe gun violence or gang violence? Like as a parent, I'm not sure if you're a parent at all, but if you
Okay,
are a parent, yes, what would you say, I guess, to your son or your daughter if they were already, I guess, in that realm of life?
so I like give them examples, show them like things that's happened in the past, how it played out, how I learned the importance of making these decisions and like some of the experiences I had that helped me learn the importance of making positive choices, I'd use examples from my experience on how negative decisions adversely affected my life and put me in tough situations. And if I would have done some of the things I know now, how I could have had a smoother path, and I probably wouldn't even be in prison right now.
That's very interesting. Thank you. We just had our Stop the Gun Violence concert again this year. They just did it last weekend on June 7th. Within our community right now, it's a chaos. The reason why I say that is because we have a set of individuals who are trying to support the community and doing the work, like what Keep Six does, or even Think Twice. But then you have another body of individuals who are out here using social media and these kind of behavior as a way to get attention or clouds and stuff like that. What is your take on it, like from that perspective of young people more or less generating more problems or issues, you know?
So me myself, I'm not really familiar with social media, seeing how we're
Right.
limited to the type of technology we can have inside. But I mean, I just believe we need more positive icons from some of these communities to speak out on it, to use their platform to advise these youth how this can be devastating to their life. Like it's a form of self-sabotage, if you ask me. Um, we just need more positive influences speaking to the realities of what they're doing and the
But
importance of not following down that path. You know what I mean? Like,
right. It's something that is, I agree with you, but when you have individuals who are in your community or in the community, I should say, and those people kind of manipulate the community or trying to make themselves into something, all right, and use these situations in our community, which when you look at it from outside, it's clearly a disaster being built, right? Now, my concern is that when we are trying to do the work and trying to help these young people, then you have somebody implementing like poison in their mind or misguiding them. That it's a disaster waiting to happen, right? And I find that we have a set of people in our young people now that don't even value their lives. You know, it's more or less a joke to them. What message or how do you feel that individuals could get across to these people? Like they must have friends who are in prison, and you know, and they're creating what we call static or beef and stuff like that.
so again, I would say like a lot of these guys are at the same time they're young, right? So they haven't had a lot of life experiences that would teach them the consequences of their actions. And sometimes you learn, but it's too late. You already made certain mistakes you can't take back. This is why I was saying, I feel like it's important that some of these kids take certain workshops, like the community put on workshops to like bring awareness to gun violence and all this social media stuff and how it contributes to violence in the streets and to their safety and lack of safety. You know what I mean? And I just think when they have a better understanding of that and they can be seen like live examples of people that did this, like there's a lot of guys on there that are no longer alive right now because of this stuff, right? So a lot of people have died due to the things that they say on social media, the disrespect or the beef, you know. They just need to understand the seriousness of this.
Right. And even the fact you mentioned social media, what's taking place, but it's as if now, you know, even in my days, we had a problem. You know, we go at it toe to toe. Now, someone can hide behind a wall or a phone screen and make the most amount of noise and static, and the volume of people watching them goes up and so forth, right? So it's kind of concerning about how our young people's brain is programmed and what's being um, implemented into their minds, right?
how can we protect kids from, I guess, seeing this kind of content? Like, I guess either as a parent or a guardian. Um, do you have any like views on that at all? I guess limiting what exactly they're watching.
Yeah, I probably have some like parental controls, like block probably certain sites, you know what I mean, that you think would give them the wrong exposure. Um, limiting their time or the availability they have to use the phone, you know, make them focus more on school and things that's gonna build their personal development. But yeah,
It's really it's very difficult. I must agree. Um, in your time when going through your challenges in your situation, um, you took some time to even build a program because that's what you felt needed. And what motivated you to put that program together?
um, to help my community, you know, like I made a lot of bad mistakes in my life that I had to pay heavily for, and throughout the time, I used my time beneficially to educate myself. So through this education, I built a communication quotient, a spiritual quotient, and an adversity quotient. You know, like I learned ways from self-reflection. From self-reflection, I looked at how I was conducting myself, my outlook on life, where it was leading me, and is this where I wanted to be? And I know a lot of people have the most to say, they talk tough, but nobody likes to be in a situation like this. It's not fun, it's not pleasant. Um, there's good days, but there's a lot of bad days that come with it too. And I just knew I wanted better for myself and for my community. And because I felt like I played a role in some of the negative stuff that happened in my community and not knowing who I might have influenced to go down that path, I felt like it was important for me to show the community that there's a better way to live. And even someone like me, who they probably glorified or looked up to in that light, could like teach them the importance of positive change, transformational change, and how necessary it is to do good and to build back our communities, you know?
What about in terms of schools? Like lately, I've been hearing a lot of teachers say that, like, a lot of Black youth are kind of neglecting going to class and I guess wanting to participate because they feel as though the community culture, whether it's gun violence or gang violence, is more important than their books. And what would you say maybe that the schools should be doing or other community members, I guess, going into the schools should be doing to get the students to want to have that drive to learn and to do better for themselves in the future?
Okay, so I think I seen on the news they were limiting the access kids have to their phone while they're in class. That's one. I think that's a step in the right direction. But I mean, it's easy to just say that a kid doesn't care about school and whatnot, but sometimes it's about how you feel accepted in your environment. And a lot of times, some of the kids are told stuff like myself. I used to be told little subliminal things about me not being successful in my future, and I'm just going to be the same like the rest of them. So like, I'm not saying that's the experience they're having now, but that was an experience that I had, and I didn't feel accepted in my environment. um Even like disciplinary actions, I noticed like how I got disciplined for things compared to other kids was different. Even times when I was proven innocent, I still bared the had to endure the consequence for something else cleared up. So like, it can build that idea in your mind that what's the point of doing this? What's the point of going to school and trying so hard to get good grades, staying up late to study, to put my best foot forward, and then it's not recognized or acknowledged, or I'm spoken to in a way that leads me to doubt myself. Am I really good enough? Or maybe I thought I was good enough, but I'm really not, you know? I think the kids need to be acknowledged more, rewarded more for the good work so they can maintain that motivation and determination to keep going, you know? But I think it's the support you give to the kids too at the same time. It's not just expecting them to do everything that's right, but like helping them.
Agreed. What do you think? You think school boards, I guess, like I don't want to call it anything, but like, Toronto school boards, Scarborough school boards, like some other like vulnerable areas, what would you say to them that they should be doing to implement into the school so that students can feel that way, can feel motivated to learn, can feel as though they're accepted and they can be themselves in their schools?
I mean, it all starts from understanding the people that you're dealing with. So, I mean, if it means giving the teachers more cultural training to understand the difference of the type of people that's in their school, some of their like values, morals, maybe some of their religious practices, like just understanding the people and knowing who you're dealing with, so you know how to like speak to them in a language that they understand, or that they can feel acknowledged, and that they live in a community that considers them as people and makes them feel like they're a part of the community, you know?
So, thank you. So I would like to know, regarding your background, can you share your personal experience with gang culture and what initially drew you into that lifestyle?
Again, just pretty much like seeing it on a day-to-day basis, not having the financial means to be somewhere else. We're stuck in a community that you see like a lot of negativity. Um, you live amongst other people that share your pain and stresses and concerns. Um, again, feeling neglected by government and being looked at as a bad person because of where you live and what you look like, and because of where you're from or your cultural values, and just feeling like you're invisible. Nobody sees you, you know? Going to a store and being looked at like you're probably trying to steal something, walking by someone, they're clutching their purse. Those things happen on a day-to-day basis. And I mean, if you're seeing this type of stuff from your child until your teenage, that's long enough to start to believe that maybe you are or should be a part of the product of your environment, you know? I guess it was my way of like rebelling in a sense, and not even just that. It's just the people in the community that all share the similar experiences. It's like they know how to talk to you, they know how to be there for you. So it's like you feel that love in that company, and it's like seeing bad things become normalized. You know, it becomes like a part of your normal reality. And maybe in the beginning you see it as a bad thing, but then when it turns into like survival, how could you really look at it as a bad thing?
All
You know,
right.
it's like you could convince yourself that maybe the act is bad, but your intentions is righteous, you know? And I feel like that's what kind of like helps guys jump that thin line, you know?
And what do you believe are the main reason young people are joining gangs today?
Well, you said it earlier, you know, popularity, clout, you know, their lack of understanding of the consequences and the realities that come with that life. Like they lack experience. So they're more going to focus on the good they think comes from it rather than the negative. And I feel like as long as they continue to do these things without any type of adverse effect or consequence, they might continue down that line. But I feel like most guys that realize it are the ones that had enough experience in run-ins with the law or been in a lot of tough situations and found themselves out of it, that realize why it's important not to go down that road. But again, if you feel like you're on your own in the world, you're abandoned, nobody is there to help your community is looked at as just bad people, it's hard to feel like doing the right thing is going to help you.
Yeah. And we always hear the conversation of that if there's a father missing in a household, um, that plays a big role in our community of individuals getting into gangs or getting involved in the justice system. How important is the present or absent of a father figure or mentor in a young person's decision in joining a gang?
I think that plays a big role because, like, again, you would have another person that's there that can speak to you with some type of wisdom to deter you from making certain decisions, but it's not there. Um, it would be good that if they had that example they get to see every day, their father home, going to work, making good decisions, doing good in his life for himself, so they can see the results of like hard work and dedication to doing the right thing, and that it could um bring you the type of success you're looking for, you know. When you don't have that example and it's just more imagination, it's kind of like you have to be like always determined to do something. Like when you're just used to seeing nothing or like no success or someone that can show you how to go down that road to have the type of success you're looking for, it's hard to just come up with it on your own.
And what would you say to
So,
fathers? Oh, sorry.
oh, go ahead.
What would you say to fathers, I guess, that aren't really, I guess, that close with their kids? You know, they check on them once in a while, but like they know their children are maybe not involved in like the best practices. What advice do you have for them? Like they know that like maybe their kid's not going down the right path at this moment.
You need to spend more time with their child, you know, like I believe parents are gonna love their kids naturally. I believe that with all my heart. Like there's always gonna be that love, regardless. You can't shake it. You know what I mean? And when you love your kids, you want the best for them. If you want the best for them, you gotta spend that time. You gotta put in that effort. You know what I mean? Regardless what it costs or the time, because they're the future. And I mean, there's gonna come a time where we're not here, and I want to know before I pass on that my children have the right guidance, tools, and skills to maintain a positive life and build a positive future for themselves, whether I'm here or not. So I'm willing to put in the work from now until I feel like they've made it somewhere where I can be confident that they can make good decisions on their own, you know?
And what are some things you do with your kids, I guess, to implement healthy practices and making good choices and things with them?
So like talk about my experiences, you know, good and bad. So like I'll kind of open their eyes to like some of the bad decisions I made and where it took me in my life, the consequences I had to pay for them. And I made sure I highlighted how devastating it was, like how horrific it was and like life shattering and depressing and oppressive. So they just know like, all right, that's definitely not the path I want to take. And I showed them like some of the good choices I made and some of the successes that has come my way because of making good decisions and where I'm at now. And even though I'm incarcerated, I'm still accomplishing things that some people might not be accomplishing on the outside. And it impresses them to know that in a place where I'm limited and there's boundaries, I can still spread my greatness beyond these walls. You know what I mean? So it's like I'm being the example I'm trying to tell them they can be to make it easier for them to adapt to that success and believe it's possible and take what I say seriously and not just lip service. A lot of times people speak about things, but they're not actually living the things they're speaking. So it's like someone's gonna look at you like a phony, and soon enough they're not gonna listen to anything you have to say because you don't walk it the way you talk it, right?
All right. And that is so true. I find that a lot of young people, unless they have that connection with you, and if they don't, they just don't. They don't feel it. If they feel you're phony, you're not real, it's just not going to go anywhere. But even with that said, I wanted you to kind of give us a clear understanding how it has been for you personally, like your experience, like what goes on behind the wall, living day to day, 20 years plus, like the challenges, the struggles you go through, the fight, I mean, that you there's a lot of times people is having things or situation where even within the system where they speak up or they don't feel it's right, you know. What's your take? How has it been for you? Like give our community a clear understanding what it's like in that 10 by 12 cell or behind the walls.
So for me, I just feel like in an environment like this, you live by a double consciousness. one consciousness is like how you see yourself as a young black man, and then the other consciousness is like how you're viewed as a black man, especially a criminal, you know? And you gotta find a balance. Sometimes you gotta know when to like be yourself and when you gotta kind of like conform to something that's expected of you, which could be like hard on your mental because it's like you don't feel like you're being you. You don't feel like you're being your natural, authentic, organic self. So sometimes that can weigh heavy on your mind, your mental health. But that being said, um for me it's just we all have reputations, and because of our crime that we're serving time for, sometimes it's hard to shake that suspicion or the character you used to be, and sometimes you're still viewed in that light. So it's like sometimes it's an uphill battle just trying to prove yourself and to prove to people that you're no longer the person you were. Even with all your accomplishments, there's always someone to kind of like give you that suspicious eye. Like, is he back up to stuff? Is he still the same person? Is he tricking us? Did he just learn the system well enough to like make it through? You know, so it's like face a lot of challenges of prejudicial characterizations. Um, Sometimes based off my history, neglected opportunities to do things I think that I would excel in. Um, a lot of times when you try to create some type of like workshop or program or activities that will be helpful, it's shut down. So like sometimes being in this place is discouraging and it can lead you to feel defeated or to feel like to give up. But me, I'm very ambitious. I'm very optimistic. Um, I always find a way to see beauty in anything. Um, I just keep putting my best foot forward, even in trying times. And that's just one of the strengths I have and the resilience I've built over the years. And I think I have to give credit for the education that I've had and seeing the times where I was successful in getting things done, build and motivate me to continue. So, I mean, there's good days, there's bad days. You know what I mean? Sometimes there's people to help you, sometimes there's people that don't. You know? And for the most part, I just realized I noticed that I just have to prove that I'm no longer the person I am because that's my biggest issue is whether they believe I've changed for the better or not.
Right.
So
So
what are
sorry. So constantly, more or less, you constantly trying to show that you're not the person that came in there 20 years ago, you know. And I guess it's kind of challenging because in a sense they just view you by whatever happened 20 odd years and whatever is on paper that someone copy and paste for 20 years straight, right? But no one takes the time to really get to know you, 25 years later on to say that this is the person I am today. Because we all grow,
No,
every
for
one of us,
sure.
right?
No, but the people that do have a day-to-day interactions with you aren't usually the decision makers or the ones that write your report. The people that usually make decisions to write your report, you rarely see them. See them maybe once every so often. So like they have no choice but to go off your paperwork. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think that needs to change. They need to have more communication, more involvement in our correction, our case management, or like just interactions with the inmates so they can kind of get to see who you are as a person, instead of just looking at a paper and deciding who you are.
Yeah. So I guess it's fair to say that you think that some policies and so forth should be changed to reflect an individual, um, how they're viewed and how they've grown and the changes that they're made, trying to excel, in life.
Not just policies, because a lot of policies do have some systemic barriers,
Hmm.
but I mean that the government has acknowledged exist. But again, it's just giving the guys in here hope, supporting their case management, um, allowing them to feel recognized and that the good they're doing is being acknowledged. You know, because again, like when you pride yourself on trying to do good and you feel like you're not getting the support that you've worked hard for, you're gonna feel like to give up. And a lot of people give up, and once they give up, they kind of regress back to where they came from. You know what I'm saying? To the old habits and mindset they had because they feel like no one's recognizing their change. You know,
All right.
that's the biggest struggle in here
Right.
for most guys, from what I see. You know, working
Yeah.
hard for it to mean nothing.
Yeah. So, what would you want, I guess, them to know about you as a person? Aside from 20 years ago, that's in the past, you now. Who are you today?
Well, my profile speaks for itself. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really get myself in any trouble. I do work hard at personal development. I've educated myself up to almost every single workshop you can think of in Collins Bay or all the other institutions I've been to. You know what I mean? I have a lot of skills and tools from these workshops, trade skills, education, college level education, university college, education. So like I'm putting in the work. You know what I mean? And the certificates, the unlimited amount of certificates and character reference letters that I have speak for itself. You know what I mean? But somehow it's not being translated correctly. You know what I mean?
I see.
How do I have time to be this bad person or this guy that's still living by the old mindset, but I have all of these accomplishments? Where would I have the time to do that, right?
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, you took a university course, didn't you? Or you took some course at the university?
Yeah, it's like philosophy,
Mm.
creative writing.
Very good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Really, really good. Very nice. Go ahead, Crystal.
So, going off of that, um, everything that you said you gained and equipped with being inside, when you get out, how do you plan to use those skills?
Again, I want to give back to my community. I want to try to help this gun and gang disruption. I work with a lot of organizations, culturally relevant and responsible organizations in the communities, just trying to accomplish the same efforts to kind of stop the violence in the communities, black on black violence. So again, like I feel like I owe it to my community. So I've trained myself how to facilitate. No, I'm aware of a lot of the things that go wrong in the communities where people make bad decisions and why. And I feel like I want to help them challenge some of that mindset they had in the past because of whatever struggles they feel led them there. And show them that just because our circumstances are what it is doesn't mean we got to make bad choices and go down the wrong path. You know, we can still work our way to some greatness, even though it would be good if we had all the help we needed.
And what kind of help would you say we're looking for more, I guess, from like government officials or like other
So
community members?
effort from the government organizations, like for me, like I'm trying to come up with a non-for-profit organization where I can have like merchandise services that I provide. And with the money generated from that, I wanted to like help at-risk communities. So like if that means like starting some after-school programs where guys can like have the opportunity to practice or excel in whatever they're good at, whether that's writing, sports, singing, whatever, we can have that facility there. I'd also like to take some of those proceeds to like help kids that so we'll be having this program and we'll see the kids that are like actually doing good in school, getting straight A's, but their only issue is their family doesn't have the financial stability to like get them in college or university. We can
Yeah.
use some of those fundings for some type of tuition program. You know what I mean? Just anything that we can like help them take the next step forward if money's their challenge, you know?
Mhm.
I just feel like more Black organizations need to give back to their communities and work with Olivia Chow. I heard her saying something a couple last week, I think it was. She wanted to like restart parks and recs in a lot of these neighborhoods and get some programs going on. So like I feel like these community leaders and mentors that have some type of idea need to start like meeting with them and come up with some ideas that can be helpful in the meantime, you know. But
That's awesome.
yeah, we need to generate something where we can have funds that can just be like donated to that type of stuff, you know, helping them with mentors to help them study, practice, or study at nighttime, practice their sports, or add to their creative writing or singing or dancing, whatever arts they're good at. And yeah, man, we just need to support them, man. They just need the help. We need the help.
So, with what you're saying, you contribute a lot of positivity from your experience. How can someone who's been involved in gang violence make amend and contribute positively to society?
Again, by leading by example, you know, showing some of these kids. Well, I'm pretty sure they're gonna understand or have an idea who some of us are. You know, I'm pretty sure our names are out there from the past, of stuff we used to do in the past, whatever. They just need to see us make that change. They need to see us make the change and do good at making the change. And the results that come from making this change, so they can see like it's not just lip service or these guys just saying things like, look, he's actually doing good for himself. He's bringing a lot of positivity to the community. He's helping the kids make change. They're starting to walk in a different direction because they believe that greatness, they can um manifest the greatness that we speak about. And I feel like when that happens and more kids see that there's opportunity and someone's actually caring about how they do in their future, it might lead them down that road, you know?
Even for you yourself, how what does healing look like? Because that's part of the whole process itself, you know,
So for
healing.
me, healing is, first of all, taking accountability for your actions, you know what I'm saying? And trying to understand where you were going wrong yourself. Because I feel like when you can be honest and accept that, and you can recognize there is a problem, then you know, then you can accept the fact that something has to be changed. But if you don't see that you're doing something wrong yourself, then how can you tell someone to change if they don't believe they're doing something wrong? So I feel like it starts from accountability, acknowledging where you go wrong. And then once you acknowledge that, taking steps of fixing that, you know, like trying to make better decisions and be better where you feel like you were going wrong. Um, and I feel like that will bring some type of like confidence to you, and you'll appreciate the fact that you can recognize the maturity and the growth that you're bringing to your situation, and it feels good to love yourself. So when you can actually believe that you're making decisions that help you, you're loving yourself, I feel like it puts you in better spirits and in a better mental space. And I feel like your attitude and your emotions actually guide your actions. So if you always feel like you're making good choices, you feel like you're in a healthy mind space, you're always in positive emotions, you're more likely to think positive things. And when you think positive things, you're more likely to do positive things. So I just feel like you have to find some type of way to acknowledge and take accountability first, and then everything starts to fall into place.
But
I do.
even the community itself, or community itself, has a process of healing too. That's definitely needed, right? And it's not about individual because individuals are impacted. You have the victims, you have the community itself that's impacted, the families, um, and everybody's impacted by gun violence now. Or even in the past, right? So there, there's definitely need to be that support team, and even talk about support. I presume you must have a good, strong support team.
So I mean, um, I do have a lot of good supports. I keep myself around people that have my best interests at heart. So people that ain't afraid to set me straight or give me some positive advice if they think that I'm doing something wrong or heading down a bad direction. So it's good to have that, people that can ask for help if I need it, because no one can do everything by themselves. Sometimes you need help. Teamwork makes the dream work.
Yeah.
Um, but it's about how much you want it for yourself. And I feel like that's my biggest thing. Like I try to use any grief or stress I have into motivation to like accomplish my goals. You know what I mean? And that's where I get my energy from. Like I just want to prove to all the people that told me I couldn't do it that I can. And that's my biggest push, is to prove that there's greatness in my community. People that look like me ain't always bad. Sometimes we just need help or the right education or information to make better decisions in our life. But we all can do that. We're all capable of it, and our circumstances doesn't have to set the standard to who we are.
Right. Or even if a second chance, right? Having the opportunity to have a second chance and having the support, to learn from your mistakes, right? That's one of the
So,
things, because sometimes we make mistakes, and once we have a second chance, we learn, but we that mistake, that was something where maybe spiritually we're supposed to be going down that path, but we weren't listening or taking that direction. So we kind of go to the left. I hear a lot of people say that, right? But they get on that path and they continue on.
so you saying that, I'll say this: there is a lot of mistakes I made that I regret, but at the same time, it's making those mistakes that I believe made me who I am today. Because I took the opportunity to learn from my mistakes rather than to like let it define me. So I chose to let my mistakes refine me and not define me. I used it as an opportunity for growth.
Right. Yeah, very, very good. Thank you. Yeah.
And how do you feel as though you have, I guess, how your transformation was with the change? Was it scary, I guess, to, change into the person you were when you first came in? How did it feel to really embrace the accountability, the confidence? Did your confidence, I guess, go up since being on the inside? And like, how did that feel as you went through it over these past couple of years?
So in the beginning, I was kind of like, wondering like, what would this do to my reputation? Is this gonna like lead people to believe that they can challenge me or that I'm like soft now or like anything bad? And I mean, one thing I learned in life, no matter how good or bad you do, you're always gonna have your supporters and you're always gonna have your haters. Even if you're the best, someone's gonna still find some type of speck or dirt to say, look, see, look, he thinks he's the best, but so I stopped caring what people have to say. I only care about the people that matter, and the people that matters are the ones that care about me. So I do this for myself and I do this for my family because my actions, there's a saying, the apple don't fall far from the tree, right? And for a lot of my mistakes, I'm pretty sure people are gonna blame my mother or my father because of how I was raised. But that part of my life I kept from them. And they're not the ones that taught me how to do some of the things that I did in my life. I learned that from the streets. So I wanna have I wanna protect their respect and their reputation. You know what I mean? I don't want them to be blamed for my mistakes.
Thank you. It's kind of very interesting, your remark, because you're you brought up the part about how, not being defined by your mistakes. But the most important thing is, once you're able to learn something from your mistake, that gives you the opportunity to grow, because that mistake is continue to make you into the person you are, because of you learn from that mistake, right? The thing about it is that making a mistake and continue to do the same thing over and over, right? That's
That's the
the
definition of insanity.
right, you know. So that's kind of interesting there. Right, Crystal.
So, going off of that and looking at your mistakes, how would you, I guess, talk to youth about that? I guess right now, kids that are already in, I guess, a situation where they're not making the best choices. Now that they, I guess, they haven't entered the criminal justice system just yet, what should they stop and do right now?
Self-reflection, you know, considering all the areas of their life, like their family supports, their goals, their values and morals, and ask yourself, is the way I conduct myself today in line with who I pride myself to be? Will this adversely affect my goals? Could this help ruin the relationships that I have with my family and my supports and the people that are counting on me to do good in my life? And if they don't see me helping myself, why would they want to help me? And I'm probably gonna lose the trust and credibility that I developed with them over time because of the decisions I'm making, you know? So like making sure that the decisions they make and the actions they act on or the thoughts they act on are all in line with still manifesting their goals, keeping them in line with the person they pride themselves to be, and won't affect their relationships with the people that care about them. You know? I feel like if all the decisions you make can won't that if all the decisions you make don't affect any of those areas in your life, then you're on the right track. But you have to give it serious consideration and thought, like try to like be open-minded, approach it unbiased, and just be honest to yourself, you know? I feel like when you're honest to yourself, you help yourself more than you do bad. But if you sit there and lie to yourself and try to get yourself to be something that's not true, you're obviously already heading down the wrong direction because your thoughts are based off fabrication. You know?
Mhm. And what would
So
you say
it's
about, sorry,
oh,
what
go
would
ahead.
you say, I guess, about, as a teenager, your confidence levels aren't the best. You're already, I guess, thinking about joining a gang or hanging around a bad group of friends. What would you say to youth in order to like build their confidence as a black youth, obviously, of course?
Well, how do a lot of these guys end up? So you're hanging with a lot of these guys and you feel like you're in the right crowd, but you're watching these guys either get shot, getting killed, going to jail, and you think that's what you want for yourself. You might not expect that to happen to you because you haven't had enough experiences, but that's usually the results of living a life like that. You either end up in jail in the ground or hurt bad, you know what I'm saying? And you neglect yourself the opportunity to like have certain type of jobs or to have the future you want for yourself, you know what I mean? So like it's very important it's very important to recognize how things end. So take the time to sit there and look at the pros and cons of all your actions, where this can lead you. Is it going to end up in a good way? Is it going to end up in a bad way? And if you can, like I said, if you can see how your actions are going to lead you down the wrong path or affect any of the areas in your life that should matter to you, then you're obviously heading down the wrong direction. Yeah, it might feel good to be around a group of guys and to feel cool and to have respect and reputation, but it only goes so far. And
Mhm.
that's only going to be respected or acknowledged in your community. Outside your community, people ain't going to give you that same respect and um clout because that's not the life they believe in, you know. That's just more in the community. So do you want to grow outside your community or do you just want to be a product of your environment?
True.
Very much true. So one of the things I think, and I hope you could maybe elaborate on a little bit, is within the system itself. Um, you're a very educated person, and you uh, are able to navigate the challenges and stuff, and even take on things head on when it comes to injustice in the system. Um, how do you have that strength? Like,
Um, my strength comes from knowing that what my intentions are righteous and positive. I want to do good for myself and I don't feel like I'm definitely not gonna let anybody get in the way of that. You know what I mean? I really want that for myself. I wanna be the person I always knew that I can be, you know, and have the greatness and the accomplishments I know that I can have. So like I'm determined just to prove it to myself. You know what I mean? But I mean when you get better at making good decisions, when you're more aware of what's going on in your surroundings and how things work, it's easier to stay motivated and on task because I've seen how I benefited from some of my successes and the feeling is amazing. And to see like how my greatness and the light that shines for me reflects off others to do the same, and they can shine just as bright as me is a good feeling. So like whether I'm intentionally or unintentionally trying to help someone, I know that I am. And like I said, it's kind of like making the blueprint for other young black men like me that come from some similar communities like me to realize, one, he changed for the better. Two, he's putting his best foot forward. Three, even when he's faced with hardships or challenges, he still finds a way to continue down the path without making my frustrations or emotions lead me in the opposite direction. And I'm just gonna keep going and going and going until I manifest what I envision, you know. So like I said, I'm very ambitious. I'm grandiosely optimistic, and that ain't gonna change for nothing. I know that there's always a way that greatness can come out of nothing, and I'm gonna always attempt to be that guy. So I've been in trouble too much times to want to entertain anything that can pull me away. I know what it feels like to be in trouble. I know what it feels like to be in the hole. I know what it feels like to miss my family and my kids. And I'll never do anything to put myself in that situation again because it sucks. You know? Nobody likes to feel isolated or alone or away from the people you love the most in the world. And I'm pretty sure it feels like that for them at times too. Some of the emotional conversations we have are so emotional, and I can see how my decisions have impacted their life or their overall mental health. You know, they worry about me being in a place like this, and like I just want to give them the opportunity to be rest assured that one, I'm free. Two, I no longer get myself in problems that they got to worry about me. You know?
Mhm. That's fair. So, I mean, you mentioned about, children and stuff. So, if you could speak directly to a young person today who's considering joining a gang, what would you tell that person?
Be careful what you wish for, you know. Not everything that glitters is gold. And that lifestyle comes with a lot of long nights and short days. It can be the difference between life and death, freedom and incarceration. You know, what side of the fence do you want to be on? I mean, do you want to have full control of yourself and your freedoms and your quality of life and to be around the people you love the most? Or do you want to be in a 10 by 10 cell with no freedom or control over the times you eat, shower, use the phone, enjoy sunlight, recreation? You know what I mean? Like you have no control over nothing. Someone's always telling you what to do. And that's pretty much the outcome of that life, death or prison. You know?
So, even mentioning regarding someone telling you what to do, you know, would it be fair to say that if an individual gets out, one of the things they would have to focus on is reprogramming their mind to fit in society and to navigate them making decisions themselves?
Well, usually guys tend to do that prior to their release, right? Because like one of the things that's expected from us is to design a release plan, you know?
Mhm.
And through programs, they teach us about the importance of making plans that are smart, measurable, achievable, relevant to your situation and time frame. You know, setting small milestones to work towards your overall goals. So like I think that would be more beneficial to have that type of insight or understanding prior to your release than to like figuring it out when you get out there. Um, like I said, we have organizations that come to the institution that help guys with stuff like that too, right? Try to help you make plans, you know, vision yourself in the community and start like a year prior to your release. You usually are encouraged to make plans a year prior to that. So um that's how
Oh,
that's how we do it in here, you know. A year prior to our release, we start designing our release plans.
yeah. So the release plan part of it, so everyone can understand that itself. Are you starting to get even like mental health counseling while you before you come out, so that you can adapt to society? I've seen individuals who I just speak for a person who I seen came out, maybe a 5, 7 year sentence, and they were working, and someone just asked them to get something. They were doing, a job, and they just flipped. They felt it was
Culture shock.
disrespect, and stuff like that. Which in the industry is normal, of someone, hey, can you grab me this or can you get me this. So these things are triggering for some people. There's a lot of triggers, people who are incarcerated coming out, right? Paranoia, sleep disorder, and stuff like that, right? Are these things that you guys are able to address within correctional Canada?
So we do have a mental health department. Um, I guess it depends on what you're going through, because I mean, some issues might be general and they apply to everybody, but I think some mental health issues are like to a specific group of people, right? Like, for instance, in our community, we go through intergenerational trauma, Black fatigue, stuff like that. We don't have any cultured mental health officials here, but I mean, we do have workshops from time to time. We have Black Mental Health Canada that comes to the institution, Dwayne Waif, um, Judy Virgo. So I mean, from time to time, we do have opportunity to to meet with these people, and they kind of like explain some of the symptoms we go through, where it stems from, how to challenge it, and how to build resilience. So there is opportunities for that. Maybe we should have some institution on a day-to-day basis, though. I think that would be more helpful, better for guys, but there's an opportunity.
So don't you feel that there should be some culturally appropriate counselors and so forth to support? Because the population, especially if I'm not mistaken, I think Collins Bay has the largest Black population.
Population in any
Yeah.
federal institution across from Canada. So I believe that this institution should be the exemplary institution on ethnocultural relations. Yes. And I do believe um we need the staff in here to reflect our community. You know what I mean? And to have people from our community that kind of understand what's going on, what we've been through, how to help us. Because I feel like that's where like conflict happens at times when you are being assessed by someone that doesn't have the ability to identify with you or even validate your reality. It makes it tougher, or you're misdiagnosed because they don't understand some of our cultural practices and norms, and to them it might mean something different in their culture. You know what I mean? So I feel like a lot of times we're misunderstood or misrepresented. Like, for instance, Black people talk with passion, and a lot of times we move our hands. A lot of times I've had my moments where I spoke passionately and it was mistaken as aggression or entitlement or having um what's the word a problem with authority. You know what I mean? And it's like, what? Obviously you don't understand my body language or our cultural body languages. So it's getting communication lost in translation. And I believe if we had more colored mental health officials here that can kind of speak towards some of the experiences we have and why we act certain ways or say or speak or do things the way we do, it would be more understood and we can get the help we need instead of being judged. We can be helped. Because it seems like right now we're more judged than helped.
Do you feel the same correctional staff as well? You would like to see more, I guess, colored people as well?
Yeah,
Or
so for everywhere it's like I don't want to sound like I'm saying like I just feel like it's more helpful. If you have people that understand each other, you're gonna be on the same page. And when you're on the same page, you can move forward better. When you're constantly trying to explain or define what you mean by something, I mean, it doesn't feel like you're getting anywhere. It just feels more like confrontation or contentious situations. But when you have someone that understands, that can speak articulately to what you're going through, and the person that's speaking to the staff is a staff member so they can take their word 100%, then I think that will help things. Till then, it's going to be, like I said, things being lost in translation, you know?
So what about even culturally appropriate meals and stuff like that? Do you guys get that opportunity to have your
So
culturally?
our national menu does have meals that come from different cultures, but it's made by people that are not of the culture. So it's like you're supposed to get jerk chicken and rice and peas. But when you get it, that's not jerk chicken and rice and peas, man, you know? I mean,
Yeah,
they're trying their best, I guess, to acknowledge the cultural differences in the cuisines, but I mean, it's not the authentic stuff, you know?
right.
So in the past, we had the ability to put in a proposal, put on a couple guys that would be willing to like prepare the meals.
Mhm.
Now that's been taken away. We're not given the opportunity to have our hands in the food to prepare it. And I know that's important in our community because usually the meals we eat are made by the people that are partaking in whatever the event is, knowing that
Right.
it's being made with love. And you know, like most of our celebrations involve food, and it stems back from like slavery because we weren't allowed to have anything pretty much, and even certain cuts of meat or foods was illegal. So that was the only way we can show appreciation or celebrate with one another was through food. And sometimes I feel when we do request stuff like that, we're looked at as we're just being greedy or we just want food, but it has a significant meaning in the whole celebration. And I mean, without it, it kind of it takes away from the authenticity of the celebration. So I think there needs to be more awareness of that, of the importance of having food in our celebrations, whether it's birthday parties, funerals, graduations, marriage. We always have food in the mix, right?
Right.
And not
So
just like cheese sandwiches and cut cucumbers. Like we eat like real food, like rice and peas and chicken and goat and like
the
fried
yellow
fish.
meat.
Like, yeah, like that's how we do our thing, you know? So to like take that away kind of again makes you feel like you're not acknowledged or accepted for who you are as a people, and that we're not living up to the ethnocultural definition in the CDs that tells you that, you know, ethnocultural offender is someone that's different due to religion, ethnicity, language, color, or sex, and wants to preserve their cultural identity and expressions. So, I mean, to take that away neglects us from that policy, right?
So have this been brought up to CSC? Have you guys addressed this and what was their reply?
So, epistemic injustice, meaning that, you know, when you speak to someone, they already have their mind made up and have decided what they believe, what they're not going to believe, and they don't really listen to what you have to say because they already have a decision in their head, you know, regardless of how factual or truthful your evidence or what you have to say is, they just disregard that or ignore it completely. And I feel like that's the approach right now. Um, it's sad, but it is the reality of it. It's funny you say that because I even wrote up a 17-page report of a Black History Month celebration I feel like was mishandled. And we were neglected the opportunity to have our cultural meals prepared by the inmates. Instead, it was prepared by the kitchen. And anybody that knows our food will look at that and know, like, that's not it. You know?
So, wow. Um, with all that said, and these challenges, I've seen or I've heard of situations where offenders have come together and even take on CSC, and take them to court regarding these issues that's within the system. Is this something that has um, been put together by individuals regarding addressing, the ethnic culture? Because it seems there's always that piece that CSC really doesn't seem to take individuals seriously until it goes in front of a judge uh, to bring up.
So right now, I know there's a few grievances that have been submitted on that behalf. Like, I mean, at first I wrote the report and I sent it to like a lot of different government institutions. I sent one to the commissioner of CSC,
Mhm.
um, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, Public Safety Minister Dominic LeBlanc, Human Rights Commission, the Standing Human Rights Committee, the African Canadian Senators Group, Black Mental Health Canada, correctional investigators, the Citizen Advisory Group, um, BCAN, amongst other organizations like the REACT, the Regional Ethnocultural Advisory Committee, the National Ethnocultural Advisory Committee, um, the Citizens Engagement Officer, which was Jasmine Sudi at the time, but I know they've changed their position. So like I've sent it out to a lot of places, and a lot of people. I only heard maybe one response. Um, we're just kind of waiting to see how this goes with the grievance, and then I guess from there we'll decide where we go. But yeah, we're trying to bring awareness to this, and hopefully we can get it back. Because if you think about it, we had the opportunity in the past, and since 2000, there's been a lot of initiatives by the government, Justice Department, and some of the organizations such as yourself that work hand in hand towards our Black Social History Initiative, the Canadian Justice Black Strategy, um, the Black Offender Strategy, and the anti-racism, the CSC anti-racism initiative. And all of those initiatives, they speak towards learning how to learning and identifying gaps in the system and ways we can fill the gaps or eliminate or eradicate systemic barriers or racism. And it just seems weird that with all these initiatives going on now, this is the time they choose to neglect us an opportunity to prepare our meals for Black History Month, or like to like have us in the kitchen so staff can kind of learn and we can work together how to make that cultural meal in its authentic fashion. You know what I mean? And we're moving away from, I was told we're moving away from that, and I brought those initiatives up and said that doesn't make sense because those don't align with the initiative or the mission of the initiative. And but yeah, it doesn't line up. It doesn't align that we're trying to bring awareness to our cultural differences so we can be inclusified in everything, and it's diverse. It reflects Canada acknowledges the diversity in their country and want to involve us and allow us to feel acknowledged. But that doesn't seem to be what's going on in regards to this situation here.
Yeah,
So what
interesting.
programs would you like to see come back in terms of ethnic culture? Like, so the food, anything else I guess you would want to see, like, let's say, yeah, like in the next 5 years, what's something that you would want to see come back or even be added that wasn't there before?
Well, the food's the only issue we're really having. Like right now we're drafting up some yearly plans of events, whether cultural or religious, that we'd like to see the institution help us to partake with. So we're in the midst of doing that right now. My only issue I can say in regards to like our population is the food part, and allowing all these different cultures to actually have their hand involved in preparing the meals, and so it can give them a sense of acceptance, accept a sense of belonging like the institutions actually trying to help them be themselves, and help them culturally express and identify without feeling like something's wrong or, you know, they have to like beg for it. It should just be natural. Like I would want you to feel like the best version of yourself. And if my point is to like correct you or rehabilitate you, then obviously the person has to feel confident within themselves and have to feel like they're acknowledged or recognized. So I feel like I'd go out of my way to give them that confidence so they would want to be more patriotic or like feel like they're a part of the Canadian dream. Like Canada acknowledges them. They feel proud to be a Canadian because Canada respects and acknowledges who they are as a person, and you're accepted.
I
Right.
can understand clearly. Now, what about we spoke about food? What about like your within our culture, there's ethnic cultural products like for your skincare, your hair care. How have that been?
So we do have some products in the canteen, like hygiene products. Um, I guess the guys are trying to like do a drive right now. But instead of doing the drive, we're trying to see if we can have these items on the canteen so there's always access to them.
Availability.
Um, the one thing I will say though is like sometimes the affordability, the pricing on some of these products, they're very expensive and you don't make a lot of money in here. So like that could be a challenge at times. But like the institution is working towards putting cultural items on the canteen, I will say.
And you're speaking about money and how much you guys make there. What are the wages like that, you work and so forth? And say, for instance, regarding your wages, I know you guys pay like room and board, you pay for the phone that you use. What does it look like? And compared to a cost, say, for instance, a bottle of body wash, what's the price for a body wash that you guys pay there
So anywhere from like $6 to like $8, $9
for a body wash?
is for a body wash. So um we're not really paying the room and board anymore or the phone bill
Okay.
because of inflation and COVID. Since that came around, we got back our full pay. Um, but I mean, when you're making $40, you buy a body wash, that's like almost 10% of your money gone. Now, if you buy a bag of chicken wings, that's like $20. That's like half your pay gone right there. You buy a bag of rice, that's like another $7, $8. So it's like you don't walk away with much from the canteen
Right.
with what you get, you know,
Wow.
on a bi-weekly wages.
Your bi-weekly wages are around $40 bi-weekly.
To $50,
Right.
Wow.
depending on your pay level, right? So I mean, you don't really get much with that. And now there's tariffs, so there's certain products we're not going to see right now because the cost. Also, we're probably going to be buying more Canadian products. Uh, Canada doesn't really make the best products, but
We got yeah, that's another across the board. It's a different ball game there, but it's interesting. Crystal, do you have something to say? We gotta,
Yeah, so in terms of the wages, so every biweekly you're saying $40, $50 is what you guys get, I guess, based off of a full-time working shift of 40 hours a week. Is that how it works? Or is it more like a part-time thing? Everyone's kind of different.
it's full time, but it ain't 40 hours a week. We pretty much work for like 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the afternoon. So it's like 4 hours a day,
Okay.
4 hours a day. So it's like 20 hours a week. I mean, every 2 weeks. It's pretty much half of that. But
Wow.
uh,
Wow.
our we don't get raises. The wages don't go up every so
Really?
much years. We've been at the same pay level since the 80s.
Wow. Wow. I did not know that.
but the cost of the items you purchase in canteen does go up.
Yeah, it has increased. So like technically, like we're not making nothing compared to like when we first started, even though it's the same price or same pay because the increase in cost, right?
Yeah.
And what have there been any response from CSC or the deputy commissioner regarding, you know,
Increasing pay.
increasing
So
pay?
I know there's been proposals or letters written to national headquarters in that regard about pay not being increased over the years and so on and so forth. And a lot of the times we're told like, you know, they're looking at ways to increase the pay, but they still got to consider other things like public outcry. Like the public still expects us to like have some type of consequence or punishment. Like if we were making the wages they make in the community, that would probably cause a public outcry and people would feel like some type of way, you know. So I guess there's a lot of consideration in that decision, you know, outside of just the increase of taxes or tariffs and stuff. It's also what the public has to say too, right? And if they believe that Canada's doing the right thing to like teach us a lesson or the proper consequence. Because if we're in here living with all the money in the world and whatever, then someone's gonna have something to say.
Right. But it, but regarding, you know, the pay and so forth, the work you guys do, that is another entity within the government, which do a number of things. They manufacture everything from furniture to, I know one institution that manufacture eyewear, parachute for the army. What do they manufacture or work-wise at Collins Bay?
You're talking about Corcan.
Yes.
So our Corcan does like a lot of different things. Sometimes they do like desks, cabinets, beds. Over the years, their contracts can change. You know, they can end up with a different contract to make something different. But for the most part, it's like desks, beds, cabinets, things like that. They design here.
Interesting.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Crystal, we're coming up here to 3 o'clock.
We are coming to the close. So Leon, do you have anything to say? I guess in closing, I know we only have a few minutes left. Is there anything in closing you'd like to say? Any quotes you have to give to the community?
Um, in order to win the battle of life, one must first win the battle of mind.
Wow.
Very powerful. Thank you, man. Thank you. Very, very powerful. Well, Leon, thank you again. It's a pleasure to always having you on our empowerment to unlock the justice system. I'm sure our audience and our community will get a great deal of impact from this conversation with you. And please, the door is always open. Anytime you are, you know, you're welcome to reach out to us. And if there's another topic, you know, we're more than happy to have that discussion with you and keep this discussion going. I would hope someday that we could even have a discussion with you where we could have an audience of young people and, you know, to impact these young people and hear directly from you instead of just watching you. They have the opportunity of just hearing directly from you. Right. So with that said, thanks again. We do appreciate it, and, you know, continue your hard work and your motivation is always there, and I wish you all the best, man. And we hope to
Thank
connect.
you as well. I
Thank you so
appreciate this
much.
opportunity to like, you know, give back to the community anytime I'm willing, you know. I mean, this is very important to me and I know it's needed, you know. We need the youth to like start like going down the right path, you know. We need more black icons, you know, more successful black people in our community and to change the narrative and the preconceived opinions or notions of who we are and to show the world that black people are just as great as anybody else, you know.
Yes.
100%.
Thank you. Folks, thank you so much for joining us again on Empowerment to Unlock the Justice System. Stay tuned. We're having some more interviews coming up. And always, it's a pleasure. Peace out.